time of partition,
At the time of the partition, the country was split as the dividing rule by the British into two parts, Pakistan and India. Pakistan became a country for the Muslims, where others were not allowed. So there was a rush, transfer, a migration of people from one side to the other. All the trains that came, they were carrying named people, dead people. People were tortured, raped, murdered. Families left their bags and baggages and everything in their homes in Pakistan. Daughters were forcibly taken away. They were raped and forcibly married. People had no clothes, nothing with them.
Kailash Nath, a well-respected surgeon, and his wife Durga Devi lived a quiet life with a 13-year-old daughter in a Muslim-majority community in Wazirabad, a city in modern-day Pakistan. A Hindu family, they never felt alienated despite their difference in beliefs. Unaware of the looming feud, in 1947, the two celebrated the coming of their new baby. One evening, the two lay in their bed to plan out their married future.
Durga, our son will be born into a time of such good fortune. He will know free India and an independent India.
Yes, dear. Although, I truly hope this Hindu-Muslim political unrest settles down soon.
It'll probably mellow down in a couple of days. Everyone will realize how unnecessary it is. Have you heard from Mr. and Mrs. Khan lately?
No, not in a long while.
Soon, they heard from the Khans, their Muslim neighbors. But what they heard was something quite unanticipated.
Kailash, you need to leave. You need to leave now. Pack up your luggage, take your family far, far away. It's real. The country is getting divided. The Muslims will slay all the Hindus. Listen to me and leave immediately.
The morning after, the worried Dr. Nath convinced Durga and their daughter to leave for her grandmother's house in Mussoorie, India. He, on the other hand, stayed to complete his scheduled surgeries.
Durga, मैं वादा करता हूँ. I promise the moment the surgery is performed, I will leave and soon after be back with you.
Why can't you come right now? Have you no care for the child in my womb? For your daughter? For me?
Durga, the people in this city need me.
Which people are you talking about? Did you hear, Mr. Khan? You are Hindu. They will kill you. It's your family that needs you.
It may have been magnanimity that kept Dr. Nath in Wazirabad. It may have been obliviousness. Walking back from the train station, Dr. Nath reminisced of his childhood, how he always looked forward to Eid, the last day of Ramadan. He would go to his Muslim friend Ali's house, and Ali's grandparents would present Kailash with money and sweet curd, just like the Muslim children. Dr. Nath looked over his shoulder. He shuddered. He had always lived among Muslims. They were his friends. He felt safe with them. He never thought a change in the border or a discord in religious groups could alter things for his hometown. That one day, he would have to fear his own neighbors. These days, the sense of security that had abounded in the days of his youth was drifting away. The unrest in Wazirabad was rising, filling its suburban landscape with unease and tumult. To help dodge the chaos, Mr. Khan made Dr. Nath stay in his house till his work in the town was concluded. The night after the completion of his last surgery, Dr. Nath tossed and turned restlessly in his mattress. He rubbed pathologically the pendant his mother gifted him for good luck. Worry gnawed at him. All communication lines were broken down, and he had no way of contacting his wife and daughter, who, if all went well, would be in Mussoorie. Each of the past several nights in Mr. Khan's house, Dr. Nath would drowse to the hollering in the distance. But today was different. An uncomfortable silence permeated his scant room. He drifted off into a disturbed slumber. Dr. Nath screamed out, jolted awake from his sleep. He was drenched in sweat, his chest heaving. He saw his entire town burned down, his house dilapidated, his pregnant wife and daughter slayed ruthlessly in front of his eyes. Dr. Nath started to shiver. He looked at his watch. 11:17 p.m. He could reach the railway station in half an hour if he walked briskly. The next train to Mussoorie was at midnight. Dr. Nath sprung out of his bed, slid his briefcase under his armpit, and swung his sack over his back. He jumped through the window. He took the quieter route through the city, the unlit narrow street that ran behind the houses. The streets felt more desolate than usual, barren. He heard the screaming first, and then he saw her. From behind the dark bushes he saw her silhouette being dragged by its hair along the gravelled ground, dragged like a sack. She was a young girl, of not more than 19 or 20, being lugged by two men old enough to be her father. From the corner of her eyes, the girl noticed Kalash, staring at her, frozen under a streetlight mid-step. She watched him, waiting for him to intervene, waiting to be saved. But Kalash didn't move. He turned his head away, ashamed. He walked away. Kalash reached the railway station just in time to hear the whistle of the train as it cooed to a stop. Kalash pulled himself onto the train and opened the closest compartment. The door opened up to a pile of corpses. Bodies of men, women and children lay on the floor and on the seats. The pungent smell made him stagger backwards. He swallowed hard, staring at the machete-cut bodies that lay before him. Carefully making his way through the aisles, he made a space for himself next to a dead young man. Finally sitting, Kalash curled up and began to rock like a baby, in need of something, anything. He breathed through his mouth, preventing the sick sense of blood from reaching him. He murmured to himself,
It's okay, I'm safe. This train has been massacred already. They can't come for me now.
Among the smells of blood and exposed, dirty flesh, he noticed something much more subtle. A light cologne, a trace of life within the death. Dr. Nath looked around again. Instead of only seeing bodies, he noticed a small shiny watch, latched onto the wrist of a man. A pen protruded from his shirt pocket. His black suit jacket pristine aside from the sword incision. A little further, there lay another man, who looked much like Kalash himself. Maybe he was a doctor too. Aside from him, lay a woman. The coal that lined her eyes was smeared across her face. Her arm wrapped around the man's shoulder, as if to defend him, even in death. It was then that he realized that this wasn't a nightmare. He will never wake up from this. Hindustan was now India and Pakistan. True, it was freed from the reign of the British, but it entangled itself into a quagmire deadlier and more terrifying than anything its people had ever seen. The lives that were lost in this futile conflict were lost forever. Kalash happened to be one of the lucky ones, one who escaped this feud. But did he really? Would his guilt over letting the girl get raped ever wipe from his conscience? Would the images of corpses ever stop haunting him? He had witnessed the furor of one side of the border, but he was certain that the other side wouldn't have any more solace to offer. This illusion that ran across his homeland would not be filled soon.